Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Computer science. The processing time required by a device prior to the execution of a command. The expense of maintaining property, e.g., paying property taxes and utilities and insurance. It does not include depreciation or the cost of financing or income taxes. A transparency for use with an overhead projector. A hard return hitting the tennis ball above your head. Computer science. The disk space required for information that is not data but is used for location and timing. Nautical. The top surface of an enclosed space on a ship. Located or originating from above. An overhead crossing. Computer science. The processing time required by a device prior to the execution of a command. Computer science. The processing time required by a device prior to the execution of a command. Computer science. The processing time required by a device prior to the execution of a command. The expense of maintaining property, e.g., paying property taxes and utilities and insurance. It does not include depreciation or the cost of financing or income taxes. The expense of maintaining property, e.g., paying property taxes and utilities and insurance. It does not include depreciation or the cost of financing or income taxes. The expense of maintaining property, e.g., paying property taxes and utilities and insurance. It does not include depreciation or the cost of financing or income taxes. A transparency for use with an overhead projector. Hit hard. He smashed a 3-run homer. A vigorous blow. A conspicuous success. That new Broadway show is a real smasher. A serious collision, especially of motor vehicles. The act of colliding with something. The fullbacks smash into the defensive line. With a loud crash. The car went smash through the fence. Break into pieces, as by striking or knocking over. A hard return hitting the tennis ball above your head. Reduce to bankruptcy. The slump in the financial market smashed him. Damage or destroy as if by violence. Humiliate or depress completely. The death of her son smashed her. Break suddenly into pieces, as from a violent blow. The window smashed. Collide or strike violently and suddenly. The motorcycle smashed into the guard rail. Hit, a tennis ball, in a powerful overhead stroke. Hit violently. She smashed her car against the guard rail. Overthrow or destroy, something considered evil or harmful. The police smashed the drug ring after they were tipped off. Computer science. The disk space required for information that is not data but is used for location and timing. The time it takes to complete a prescribed procedure. They increased output by decreasing processing time. The act of spending or disbursing money. Amounts paid for goods and services that may be currently tax-deductible, as opposed to capital expenditures. Amounts paid for goods and services that may be currently tax-deductible, as opposed to capital expenditures. Reduce the estimated value of something. A detriment or sacrifice. At the expense of. Money spent to perform work and usually reimbursed by an employer. He kept a careful record of his expenses at the meeting. The act of spending or disbursing money. Amounts paid for goods and services that may be currently tax-deductible, as opposed to capital expenditures. The quality of being clear and transparent. Picture consisting of a positive photograph or drawing on a transparent base, viewed with a projector. Permitting the free passage of electromagnetic radiation. A device consisting of a flat or curved piece, as a metal plate, so that its surface reacts to the water it is passing through. The fins of a fish act as hydrofoils. Anything that serves by contrast to call attention to another thing's good qualities. Pretty girls like plain friends as foils. Hinder or prevent the efforts, plans, or desires of. Foil your opponent. Picture consisting of a positive photograph or drawing on a transparent base, viewed with a projector. A light, slender, flexible sword tipped by a button. A piece of thin and flexible sheet metal. The photographic film was wrapped in foil. Cover or back with foil. Foil mirrors. Enhance by contrast. In this picture, the figures are foiled against the background. The income or profit arising from such transactions as the sale of land or other property. The average return was about 5%. The key on electric typewriters or computer keyboards that causes a carriage return and a line feed. Document giving the tax collector information about the taxpayer's tax liability. His gross income was enough that he had to file a tax return. Go back to a previous state. Elect again. A coming to or returning home. On his return from Australia, we gave him a welcoming party. Happening again, especially at regular intervals. The return of spring. Be restored. Her old vigor returned. Give or supply. Pass down. Pay back. Go back to something earlier. Getting something back again. Bring back to the point of departure. The act of someone appearing again. Answer back. Give back. A quick reply to a question or remark, especially a witty or critical one. Be inherited by. The land returned to the family. The occurrence of a change in direction back in the opposite direction. A reciprocal group action. In return, we gave them as good as we got. American football. The act of running back the ball after a kickoff or punt or interception or fumble. A tennis stroke that sends the ball back to the other player. He won the point on a cross-court return. Go or come back to place, condition, or activity where one has been before. Return to your native land. Make a return. Return a kickback. Return in kind. Return a compliment. Return to a previous position, in mathematics. The point returned to the interior of the figure. Submit, a report, etc., to someone in authority. The act of going back to a prior location. They set out on their return to the base camp. Computer science, the space available on a magnetic disk. Computer science, the space available on a magnetic disk. An upper limit on what is allowed. He put a ceiling on the number of women who worked for him. Maximum altitude at which a plane can fly, under specified conditions. Meteorology, altitude of the lowest layer of clouds. The overhead upper surface of a covered space. He hated painting the ceiling. Computer science, the interval between the time data as requested by the system and the time the data is provided by the drive. Access time is the sum of seek time and rotational latency and command processing overhead. A budget for current expenses is distinct from financial transactions or permanent improvements. A small house built of wood, usually in a wooded area. Confined to a small space, such as a cabin. Small room on a ship or boat where people sleep. The enclosed compartment of an aircraft or spacecraft where passengers are carried. The branch of engineering science that studies, with the aid of computers, computable processes and structures. The procedure of calculating, determining something by mathematical or logical methods. The branch of engineering science that studies, with the aid of computers, computable processes and structures. Charge against a citizen's person or property or activity for the support of government. Set or determine the amount of a payment such as a fine. Use to the limit. You are taxing my patience. Charge against a citizen's person or property or activity for the support of government. Levy a tax on. The state taxes alcohol heavily. Make a charge against or accuse. They taxed him failure to appear in court. Government income due to taxation. Charge against a citizen's person or property or activity for the support of government. The imposition of taxes, the practice of the government in levying taxes on the subjects of a state. The guidance of ships or airplanes from place to place. The work of a sailor. Ship traffic. The channel will be open to navigation as soon as the ice melts. Travel by water. The work of a sailor. Used on the high seas. Seafaring vessels. The activity of flying a glider. The work of a sailor. Riding in a sailboat. The departure of a vessel from a port.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.